Have you ever felt the weight of failure? Before even trying. That quiet voice that whispers, "What if I'm not good enough?" This is Daniel's story, a story about fear. The kind that lives quietly inside your mind, waiting for the moment you try to stand up. Daniel was young, talented, and full of dreams once. But every dream he had came with an invisible shadow. Doubt. Every morning felt the same. He'd wake up to the gray ceiling, the cold coffee, the sound of his alarm, the rhythm of someone who stopped believing. He wanted to start a design studio. He wanted to create, but fear kept him safe. Safe from failures, safe from embarrassment. Safe from everything that could go wrong. The truth is, he wasn't living. He was only existing. And when you exist in fear long enough, it starts to feel normal, it becomes your comfort zone. Your cage. Music swells softly. One evening, Daniel stood by his window, watching rain streak down the glass. His reflection looked back at him. Empty eyes, tired face. He whispered, "Maybe I'm just not meant for more." That single thought was the beginning of everything. The next morning, Daniel was late for work again. He rushed through the rain-soaked, anxious, breathless. When he finally reached the office, his boss, Mr. Graham, was waiting. No anger, no shouting. Just quiet disappointment. "Daniel," he said softly, "I don't think this is working anymore." The words hit harder than he expected. In a single sentence, everything he feared became real. He had failed as he packed his things. The office noises, blurred keyboards, footsteps, whispers. The world kept moving, but he felt frozen. On the bus ride home, he replayed every mistake in his head. Every time he didn't try harder. Every time he let fear make his decisions. And when he reached his apartment, he didn't even turn on the lights. He sat on the floor in silence. Because silence was easier than facing the truth. He told himself he'd start again soon. Maybe tomorrow, but tomorrow never comes. For those who wait for courage to arrive on its own. Days turned into weeks. Daniel drifted aimless. Empty, invisible. He avoided his friends, his phone, his thoughts. Until one afternoon, he found himself walking through the old park near his childhood home. The same park where he used to dream as a boy. He sat on a worn bench and stared at the ground. The world felt heavy. Then someone sat beside him. An older man, gray hair, warm eyes, holding a small sketchbook. The man glanced at him and smiled gently. "You look like someone who lost a fight. That never really happened." Daniel gave a tired laugh. "I guess I'm just tired of failing." The man nodded, failing or not trying. Daniel frowned. "What's the difference?" The man flipped open his sketchbook. Inside were beautiful designs. Machines, structures, inventions, he said. "I wanted to be an engineer. But I never tried. I told myself I wasn't smart enough. 40 years later, I draw what could have been." He looked up, eyes glistening. "Son, fear doesn't protect you, it steals your life. One quiet moment at a time." Daniel said nothing he couldn't. The man stood up, closed his notebook, and smiled. "Do something with your fear. Train it, don't let it own you." And just like that, he walked away, leaving Daniel with one question echoing in his mind. What if he's right? That night Daniel couldn't sleep. He kept hearing the man's voice. Train your fear. Don't let it own you. At 2:00 a.m. he sat up, turned on his laptop and opened a blank canvas. The empty screen stared back at him. It terrified him. But this time he didn't walk away. He started sketching lines. Shapes. Messy, imperfect. Real? He failed again and again, deleted. Restarted, tried. Failed, tried again. Every failure hurt. But a little less each time he realized something. The fear was still there, but it was quieter. Every small step forward was a victory. Not because it was perfect, but because he didn't stop. Music builds rhythmic, hopeful. For the first time in years, Daniel felt alive. And that was enough. Emotional, cinematic, reflective. Change is never easy. Some days Daniel woke up inspired. Other days he wanted to quit. He'd submit designs to small companies. No replies, he'd share his work online. A few likes, no offers. But he kept going. He reminded himself of the old man's words. Each time fierce said, "You'll fail again." He answered, "Maybe. But I'll fail forward." Slowly people began to notice. A few kind comments. A message from a designer who liked his work. A small freelance project. Each small win built momentum. Each rejection built strength. He was no longer hiding from failure. He was using it. Each setback became a lesson. Each mistake a map toward what to fix next. He was training his mind just like you train a muscle. Not to be fearless, but to be brave while afraid. Months passed. Daniel had changed, not just his work, but his spirit. He walked taller. He spoke with conviction. He smiled again. Then one morning, an email arrived. A small tech startup wanted to meet. They had seen his designs online. The meeting was short but meaningful. They offered him a contract. Not because he was the best, but because he never gave up. Weeks later, Daniel stood in a new office. Sunlight pouring through the windows. On the wall hung one of his designs, framed. Signed alive. He remembered that rainy night. The reflection that once whispered, "Maybe I'm not meant for more." And he smiled. Because he finally understood failure wasn't his enemy. Fear was, and now fear was his teacher. Fear never disappears. It only changes shape. You can't kill it, but you can train it. When you face it step by step, day by day, it loses its power. The ones who succeed are not fearless. They're simply the ones who act despite the fear. Because failure doesn't end your story. It begins it. The real failure is never trying at all. Daniel still visits that park sometimes. He never saw the old man again. But he left something behind. A small notebook on that same bench. Inside the first page, Daniel wrote 6 words. I failed many times and grew. If you're listening to this right now, maybe you see a bit of yourself in Daniel. Maybe you've been waiting for the perfect moment. Maybe you've been afraid to fail. But there is no perfect time. There is only now. Start anyway. Try anyway. Fall. Rise. Repeat. Every time you try, you train your mind. Every time you fall, you grow stronger. Every time you act, you silence fear a little more. Warm closing music. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs it. Subscribe for more stories that teach English and teach life. And remember, fear is temporary. Regret lasts forever.